Morning! Welcome to a very chaotic vlog because I am trying to get everything done today that I haven't been able to do for the last few days. The living room needs tidying, the kitchen needs tidying and cleaning, but it has been just a complete, to be honest, it's been a bit of a disaster for a week. So we got back from holiday on Monday afternoon, it's Wednesday today, and to be perfectly frank, the holiday was a bit of a disaster. On the day that we left, I woke up at about 5 AM feeling like I was going to throw up, which is very rare, and I thought, oh my god, have I got a stomach bug? Because I couldn't think of any other reason why I'd feel like that. I wasn't sick though, and I did start to feel a little bit better as the morning went on. We got in the car to go to the airport and oh my god, I have never felt so car sick in my life. It was horrific. My mum also wasn't feeling super great, so when we got to the airport we had to sit down for a bit because I was like, I can't check in right now. A, the check-in wasn't actually open, we were a bit early, but B, I was like, I still feel really ill and we need to think about this. I just had to dash to the loo then because I'm also unwell now, but we'll get onto that a bit later in this story. I also seem to have come back to ants kind of crawling around various bits of my flat and I can't find where they're coming from because usually there's like one place, and if you I have like ant killer spray, if you tackle that then you tackle the problem, but they're not like, if it's happened before in the past you can usually track them on a line and find where they're from, but there's not enough of them to do that, so I don't know if it's just one or two getting in or if there's an infestation. Oh my god, where was I? Tidying up and sharing about the disaster that was our holiday. On a side note, Oren is currently obsessed with cars and trucks, so I bought this Grimm's truck for him while I was, actually just before I left, but I asked them to delay shipping it until after we were back, which they did, which was really good. I bought it from Myriad, which do a lot of really nice like walled off, mainly walled off toys, and Grimm's in particular, they do lots of them, and they had a sale on because I've been debating getting this and also the Friends, the Rainbow Friends like this for a while, but just never kind of got around to buying them, and then I saw them all in a sale and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and get them now. But he's currently absolutely loving this. He kind of fills up the truck and kind of pushes it along, which is really sweet to see. Anyway, so we got to the airport and I was still not feeling great, my mum wasn't feeling great, and we were really debating whether or not we should actually go on this trip. But at this point, because I'd woken up at 5 AM and I think like so at my parents' house, Oren has his own bedroom, which is next door to mine, but when he stays in his bedroom here, I can hear him through the wall, no problems. I don't actually have to have my baby monitor on because you can't miss him if he cries. But at my parents' house, I've learned that if I don't have the baby monitor switched on, I can sometimes sleep through him waking up, because once or twice my mum's come into my bedroom and been like, he's been crying for about 20 minutes, like, are you deliberately leaving him? And I'm like, oh my god, I didn't even hear him, I was fast asleep. So now I have to make sure that we have a baby monitor set up in his room and in mine, and the baby monitor is actually turned on, like the sound is turned on in my room. But when that happens, because I was so conscious, like I didn't want to miss hearing him if he woke up in the night, even though the monitor was on, I think I kind of was sleeping with, one ear open. And so when I woke up at 5, I think he'd actually just moved around in his cot and I kind of jumped awake like, oh my god, does he need me? And I hadn't got to bed till about midnight, so I thought maybe it's just a bit of sleep deprivation, because I typically, when I'm sleep deprived, although ironically not since I've had a baby, like baby sleep deprivation hasn't affected me in the same way, but prior to having a baby, sleep deprivation, going to bed later in the day, has always made me feel quite nauseous if I haven't had enough sleep. So I thought maybe this is just some sleep deprivation, I haven't had enough sleep, and if I get a little bit of a nap in, get something to eat, I'll feel better by the afternoon. I can nap on the plane. At least as much as you can nap with a toddler on your lap. So I think we waited for like an hour in the check-in lounge and then decided, yeah, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna go and check in and go on this holiday. In hindsight, we probably shouldn't have, but we decided we would go ahead with it. Once we got on the plane, we then ended up sitting on the tarmac for about an hour because there was a problem with one of the wheels and they had to replace it before we could depart. And so like that was a bit tricky to juggle a toddler that wants to crawl everywhere before we'd even got into the air. But when we actually got into the air, we were only flying to Monaco, so it was like I think an hour and 15 minutes. They flew, the captain let us know that they were going to fly a bit faster because of the delay, so it was only like an hour and 15 minutes. The flight itself was absolutely fine. We got there, landed, got a taxi, got to the hotel and everything, that was all fine. When we got to the hotel, however, we'd asked for them to put both mine and my parents' rooms, because we had separate rooms, close to each other, but they hadn't been able to do that, which we knew was a possibility because they said they couldn't guarantee it, but we'd hoped that they might be able to do it, so that was a bit disappointing. But then when we actually got into the rooms, we realised that they weren't the best setup. It wasn't the greatest hotel, it wasn't like a bad place, but it just wasn't an ideal setup or situation. Yeah, so that was a little bit disappointing too. By the time we'd actually checked in and got into the hotel rooms, I think it was like 5 o'clock in the evening, I was completely exhausted by this point. So I said, I'm just literally gonna unpack what I can right now. And there was virtually no storage. That was the other thing. There were no drawers or anything to put things in. There was one cupboard in the bedroom area. We booked a hotel that had it was an apart hotel, so it has like a little kitchenette area, and also the room that we had booked had like a bedroom area that could be separated off. And I'd deliberately looked for that because Oren goes to bed quite early. He goes to bed like 6:30ish, and when he's asleep, he's quite a sensitive sleeper. So if he's gone to bed at 6 and we're in a hotel room, I literally could not do anything. I wouldn't be able to cook any food, wouldn't have been able to move around or have my laptop open or anything. Like, I'd have to go to bed with him at 6:30, which obviously is really early. I don't want to do that. So what we booked was this apart hotel that had like this separated bedroom area, and I thought, what I'll do is I'll put him to bed in that room, and then I will sleep on the sofa bed, which is in the main part of the living room, which is the setup we did. And that part of it at least worked as I planned, thank God. But there was a door that the bedroom area basically was separated by these like sliding doors, and what I didn't see when I booked it online was that when the doors were shut, the actual doors themselves had glass panes on them, which was translucent, so basically would let any of the light in. And I had brought my grow blind, the blackout grow blind that I have, which has been great, by the way. I highly recommend getting one if you're going to travel with a baby or a young child, because they kind of suction to a window. But because this was translucent glass and it was not completely flat, it was kind of like bobbly, if that makes sense, the suction cups wouldn't work to it. They would not suction to that. So I knew we were going to have to try and find some tape or something in order to get it to stick it to the door. But as I said, it was 5 o'clock in the evening. We were all exhausted. There was no way we were going out at that time of night to go and try and find some tape or anything. So I decided, well, what I'll do is I'll pull the main curtains to the main room, so that also makes the kids' room dark as well. And then I'll just have to go into the bathroom and use the bathroom light or something to be able to see in that evening. But as it turned out, because I was so exhausted and I was still feeling quite nauseous, I made some noodles for myself. I didn't really eat. I picked a few Pringles, I think, and stuff throughout the day, and just had no appetite really. And at that point I realised I think this is a bit more than just kind of nausea because I'm sleep deprived. I think I actually have got a bug. So I was thinking, this might not have been the best idea to come out here. Luckily though, Oren went down to bed, I think, relatively easily. However, something happened literally at the airport as we were leaving to come on this holiday, which is that he went on a nursing strike. So he stopped breastfeeding from me. The first night when he woke up in the night, he did actually feed for me. So I thought, I didn't realise he was on a strike, or I thought, oh, it was just, he was being funny earlier, not feeding, because he did feed when he woke up in the night and I needed to feed him to put him back to sleep. That was fine the first night. However, from the second day, he absolutely refused to feed. And I was like, what am I going to do? Because I was first of all worried about the fact that I was going to need to pump, because if he wasn't feeding, I was still getting breast engorgement a little bit. The days where he goes to nursery, like today, if he feeds off one side in the morning, by the time I get to the end of the day, my other boob is usually quite full. However, I had been cutting down my domperidone, so I was still on I think 1 tablet of domperidone at this point, because I was trying to wean off it. And I wondered if that was part of the reason that he'd gone off breastfeeding, because I wasn't producing as much milk, or if it was just something else because he was teething or something. I didn't know. But at this point he was not feeding, and I was like, shoot, I haven't got a pump with me. I haven't pumped in months. I've no idea. It wouldn't even occur to me to bring a pump with me on holiday. I also have to keep taking my domperidone because it's a drug. You can't stop taking domperidone suddenly because it can cause really severe depressive and anxious episodes, which obviously you don't want, so you have to very gradually wean off of it. So I was like, I'm going to have to keep taking this drug, which is going to make me produce more milk, even though I'm reducing the amount that I'm taking. He's not feeding, I haven't got a pump, and I've only got a limited number of bottles here, and he always goes to bed with a bottle. So I was like, shoot, what am I going to do? So that was another bit of the holiday. There was a bit of a disaster, was that he went on a nursing strike. But anyway, the first night, thankfully, he slept relatively well. I think he woke up twice in the night, but on that particular occasion, he fed and went back to sleep pretty much straight away each time. So I was able to get some more sleep and felt a lot better the next morning. So again, I'm still not entirely sure if I had a bit of a bug or if it was just sleep deprivation, but either way, next morning I woke up and I felt much better. And I took him down to the boulangerie to go and get some pain au chocolat and some bread. So the first full day of the holiday, I was feeling better, my mum was feeling better, but this day my dad got sick. So he spent the day in the hotel, and mum and I basically just walked around a little bit. We went and had a little bit of explore of Monaco, and Monaco itself is very hilly, so we had like a travel pushchair for Oren, which was fine, and there's a lot of escalators, and I'm quite used to using it on the pushchair on an escalator, so we explored a bit, but we couldn't go too far down because it's so steep. We were a little bit higher up in Monaco, and so we were like, okay, we want to go and explore a bit of this, but we don't want to go too far because we don't want to get too tired and have to then walk back up this hill to get back to the hotel. We also couldn't find any sellotape anyway, or any kind of gaffer tape at all. It's not the sort of thing that like most people go to Monaco to get. So trying to stick up this grow blind over the door so that his bedroom would be dark even when I still had the curtains open in my room was my main focus of that day, was trying to find a way to make that work. In the end, we ended up finding kinesiology tape at a pharmacy, and I was like, oh, I think that'll actually do it. The first night, it did stick it up, but the first night it fell down at like 6 a.m. and the next time I did it a bit better and it was fine. I think that ended up being like the one thing I purchased in Monaco was kinesiology tape to stick up this grow blind in his room. And yeah, I can't really remember what we did that first day, but I know it was just me and Mum, and I think, like I said, I think we just did a bit of exploring. She cooked some dinner for us, which was good. And then that night, the second night we were there, was the worst night I have ever had with Oren. Unquestionably. Like, even as a newborn, I've never had a night this bad. He went down to bed at, I think, like 6:37 p.m. I can't remember whether I was keeping him on UK time or not, or French, whatever, but he went down to bed, no problem. Was asleep for a few hours, and then at 10 o'clock he woke up, which is not unusual for him. He does sometimes wake up around that time. And I went in to try and nurse him to put him back to sleep. And again, he's on a nursing strike, so he's refusing to nurse from either side. So I'm like, okay, maybe I don't want this. And I put him down on the cot and he screamed. And I kid you not, he cried pretty much non-stop for 4 hours, from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And I could not work out what was wrong. Like, it was just awful. I tried nursing him, tried giving him a bottle. He didn't want that. I tried giving him some Calpol in case he was teething pain or he was in pain in some other way. Didn't want that. I tried rocking him, cuddling him. He didn't want that. I even tried co-sleeping with him in the bed, because obviously there's the main bedroom which we put his cot in, and there's the main bed in there, and I was sleeping on the sofa bed in the living room. But I pulled him out of the cot and put him on the bed and laid next to him to see if he wanted to co-sleep more than be in his cot, if he was unsettled by the surroundings. Nope, like literally was like a rod, like screaming, straight-bodied, and I was like, oh my god, like, is he really sick or something? But he didn't have a temperature. I got him up at, like, after I think 2 hours, I was like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? Got him up, checked his fingers, checked his toes, checked his nappy, make sure there's no hair stuck around him or anywhere. Checked his skin, checked his temperature. He wasn't hot. He was like, he had no rashes or anything. I just could not figure it out, and he didn't want to be held, he didn't want to lie down. Like, oh my god, like, awful. I can't remember what eventually got him to sleep. I think eventually I did rock him a bit and I put him down, and like at 2 a.m. he finally gave in and went to sleep, and then woke up at 5:30. So I got a total of like 3 hours sleep that night. But oh my goodness, it was just the worst night that I've ever had with him, without question. I felt really sorry for the people in the rooms like around us and below us, because there was like, he was screaming and there was nothing I could do. Yeah, that was not fun. So he was up at 5:30, and then I think he did actually go down again for a nap around 6 o'clock, 6:15. I can't remember whether I gave him a bottle. I might have given him a bottle. He definitely didn't nurse. I tried, he didn't want it. And he went to sleep for a little bit longer, I think another hour or so. So I managed to get an extra hour of sleep at that point. So 4 hours of broken sleep in total that night. But then obviously I was too tired to really do anything productive that day. So that was a bit of a wasted day. My parents, bless them, they helped me out a lot that day, which was fantastic. And my mum said to me, you know, why didn't you message me? I could have come and helped. And I was like, the thing is though, when you've got a baby who won't sleep, it's not actually helpful to me to bring somebody else in to be with me when he's not sleeping. I'd much rather that they got a good night's sleep and then I suffer through the night and I'm tired the next day, but somebody else is well rested, and I can be like, hey, the most useful thing you can do is actually take him from me during the day and let me have some extra sleep to catch up on while you've got him, rather than me getting you up here and waking up in the middle of the night and having you tired as well. But actually, as it turned out, because he had only had, I think, like 6 hours of sleep across the night, and he normally has 12, he needed some extra long naps during the day as well. So he napped like every couple of hours in that day, and I was able to nap with him at those points too. So actually ended up not being too bad, but still like not what you want to happen when you're on holiday. I think the next day we had another chill day. at the hotel. Like I said, went for a walk around the local area a bit. There was a market there, and then we went to the pool, and Orion actually slept in his pushchair by the pool, so I was able to go in the pool by myself and get out and lie on my sun lounger and read my book for a bit, which was honestly probably the best bit of the holiday for me. So that day was quite nice. And then I think the next day we ended up taking a train trip to one of the other towns along the Côte d'Azur, and that was lovely. We had an amazing meal at a restaurant there, which was really lovely, because that's one of the things I was looking forward to about this holiday, was having some good French food, and we did have a couple of good meals. And then the last day that we were out there, it was, I think the weather wasn't super great. It was kind of grey and cloudy, but it wasn't raining at least. So we still, Mum and I went on a few walks, and we found a playground for Orion to play with, and that was good. But earlier on in the week, I think like the first day after we got there, my mum was like, I think we should look at booking flights home early, because this holiday is just turning out to be a bit of a disaster. But we looked at them, and we could only really get flights a day earlier, so we were leaving on the Monday, and we could have got them on Sunday, but it would have cost an extra £2,000 to book those tickets, so it just wasn't worth it. And then on the day that we were due to fly home on Monday, I woke up and I was not feeling great again, and I was like, oh my god, are you kidding me? I wasn't feeling as bad as I had done on the day that we flew out, but I still wasn't feeling 100%. And traveling is quite a lot, particularly with a toddler, and so I was feeling a bit like, oh man, this is gonna be a nightmare. Even with my parents there to help me, I was like, oh god, this isn't gonna be fun. But luckily we got to the airport, that was fine. Got on the plane. We were a little bit delayed because I needed to check one of the engines, but it wasn't as bad as the first time. We got off okay, and the flight back actually ended up being pretty alright, so that was good. Got home to my parents' house. I let Orion play for a little bit because he'd been constrained to like sitting on an airplane seat or in the pushchair or like in a carrier on me pretty much all day, so I was like, have some free rein, kid, while I, pack up the car so we can come back to my flat. And then we came back in the evening, and that was fine. I just threw together a peanut butter sandwich for him for dinner with some fruit, and I think I had a pot of noodles or something, I can't remember. I managed to get both of our bags unpacked, but that was it. Like the rest of the stuff, like the washing that needs to be put on, tidying up, emptying the dishwasher, which I put on for a clean cycle before we left, all of that I didn't have the energy to do, and I was like, I'll do it tomorrow, because today we've got back, we've been traveling all day, I'm really tired, I'm going to bed early, and I'll leave it for tomorrow. So the next day was Tuesday, which was yesterday for me now, and I'd agreed to meet a friend in like late in the morning to catch up and see her and to see our kids to play together and everything, and that was really lovely. And I woke up and I was feeling a little bit like, I don't feel unwell, but my tummy's just playing up a little bit. And I thought, it's just all the travelling, I don't feel sick or anything like that. So, I'm going to go and meet her and it should all be fine. And it was like, we had a great time. We walked to the park, did a little bit of shopping, and then went back to her place. But like my stomach just every so often was feeling a bit sore. That's the best way I can describe it, just feeling a little bit sore. And I left her place and put Orion in the car, and he fell asleep immediately as soon as he was in his car seats. He was due a nap, and then drove home. And literally as I parked the car at my house, I was thinking, I'm going to stay in the car for a little bit, leave the engine on running with the aircon so that it stays cool and Orion can have a little bit of a longer nap, because he'd only slept for like 20 minutes at this point. However, I had this sudden like stabbing pain in my stomach, and I was like, oh my god, I need to go to the toilet now. So I thought, I was like, oh my god, what am I going to do with Orion, because he's asleep in the car? And I thought, well, I'll try and get out the car quietly, because he was really asleep at this point. Go to the toilet and then come back and get him. But as I opened the car door, he woke up, and I was like, shit, I can't leave him in the car. But my stomach at this point is cramping so badly. I managed to get him out and like hobble into my flat, put him down in the like safe play zone I have here, which has got stairgates and everything on, so I know he's okay, he's safe here, and then dashed into the bathroom. And I wasn't sick. Food poisoning is really, I had a bout of food poisoning basically. Food poisoning for me though, sometimes makes me throw up, but actually more often gives me really bad stomach pain and like diarrhea. Sorry if you're eating dinner, this probably might want to stop listening to this bit now. But oh my god, like the pain was so bad while I was on the toilet. I was like, I feel like I'm going to puke, not because I feel sick, but because of the pain. And at one point I had to like keel over onto the floor and lie on the cold floor because I felt I was so lightheaded from it. I had to like lie down and cool off and just breathe through it. And the whole time this was happening, Orion was in here screaming, because when he wakes up from a nap, he like needs time to acclimatise. He usually has like a cuddle for a bit longer, and then wakes up, and I might give him a feed when he's not on a nursing strike. But of course I'd had to just put him down, so he was distraught about this. So I'm lying on the floor feeling like death with a screaming toddler, and it was probably one of the most miserable experiences of my whole parenting. so far. It was not fun, and I had to, like, it took me about 10 minutes to get out of that bathroom, and then I wasn't really well enough to pick him up at this point, so I had to kind of like crawl into the living room and cuddle him, like with him standing up leaning against me, and he was still upset, and he wanted me to pick him up, and I was like, I can't, babe, my tummy is too sore. So that was not fun. I put CBeebies on, you know, put him down with his toys, but he just wanted to, you know, he just wanted to cuddle, or he wanted to you know, have food or something. I'm not entirely sure at that point, but he was still tired and he wasn't happy. I had to go and lie down in my bed for a little bit because I was still in a lot of pain, and I went and took some medication, had a little bit of rest, and came in and was able to, you know, sit on the sofa and have him kind of snuggle up next to me at that point. But yeah, that was not fun. So that ended up being sort of the icing on the cake of a pretty shitty holiday experience, to be honest. I think we all agree that we shouldn't have gone on this holiday. We should have left at the airport and just called it quits then. But you didn't know, like, we could have gone and had an amazing holiday, but didn't turn out that way. The annoying thing for me now is that because I wasn't well yesterday evening, didn't get any of the jobs done yesterday that I was planning to, like putting on a wash for my clothes or for Oren's clothes, and, you know, unloading the dishwasher, tidying up a little bit in the kitchen because I did some cooking yesterday morning. So everything is just complete chaos at the moment. Like, it's still post-holiday chaos right now, and I haven't had the energy to sort it. And the other thing is, because I missed my training on Monday because we were traveling for my data course I'm on, I needed to catch up on that before the course I've got this afternoon, which I was planning to do. They don't release it until the next day, the recording of the live session, if you miss it. So I was like, okay, well, I'll watch it on Tuesday evening after he's gone to bed, that's when I'll do it. But last night I started watching it, and I got, I think, about 50 minutes in, and I was like, I feel so ill right now, and I'm so tired that actually I'm not taking any of this in. I'm going to have to go to bed. So that means I now need to watch that course this morning, the next, I think it's 3.5 hours, so like the next 2.5 hours basically. But this is also one of my work days, so I still need to record a video, edit a video, start some of my client work, and then I have tomorrow morning as well to do client work too. But I also need to finish this training course that I need to catch up on before this afternoon's course, otherwise, like, I won't be caught up to speed before the next course this afternoon. So, I don't know how I'm gonna get it done, and I wanted to clean the house up a bit too, but like, that's definitely low down on my list of priorities right now. It's just been a bit of a rough week. I think the other thing that we figured out on this holiday, aside from like the fact that at various different points we were all not feeling super great, is that the type of holiday that we now need to go on in order for it to actually be a holiday has changed as Oren's getting bigger. Obviously that was going to happen inevitably, but this holiday he was crawling around, he wanted to interact with lots of things, and there wasn't really enough kids stuff at this hotel that we went to. So I said there was a little swimming pool. I was planning to, you know, take him in for a bit. He actually screamed when I tried to put him in the water, so he didn't end up swimming. But there was, on the website they said there was a little playground for him, but we could not find this kids area anywhere. We looked around, it was just, we couldn't find it at all. And I think actually in future we need to go on holidays where they have some kind of creche or like play zone, because he now loves going to nursery and like playing with the other kids and all the other toys and stuff. And I think actually some kind of creche kids club thing, he would really enjoy that, and I would also be able to get some time off too, because the only way I was able to have any sort of time to relax on holiday was when my parents took him for me, which they very kindly offered to do, but I was never able to fully relax when they had him because I was feeling a bit guilty about the fact that, you know, this is their holiday too, and you know, they've got him for me. So yeah, it would definitely be nice to go on a holiday where I could feel a bit less guilty about leaving him somewhere, because A, he would love being in a creche now, and B, like, I wouldn't feel like I was depriving anyone else of their holiday. It would be like, that's where they're going. So I think the next holiday that we go on as a family, we're going to have to think a lot more carefully about where we go, because the holidays up until now, we've kind of been able to just go to like Airbnbs or regular hotels, and you know, we've just kind of made it work and brought him with us. But he's now, we didn't know obviously when we booked this holiday a few months ago that he was going to be at that point by then, because back in February we went on holiday, he was 12 months and it worked okay at that point with him. But he's now critically reached this point where it's like, okay, he actually, we need things to actually entertain him specifically now, rather than just bring him along with us. And that's kind of entertainment in itself for babies. Like, they look around and kind of see what's going on, and that's enough for them. But as they get bigger, they need more specific entertainment. So Just gonna have to think a bit more carefully about holidays in the future. Anyway, here we are, it's Wednesday now. Fortunately, this week Oren has started doing 2 days of nursery a week, Wednesdays and Thursdays. I was originally thinking I was gonna do them on Mondays and Thursdays because the days I need to train and work are Monday, Wednesday and Thursday now. But I was thinking he quite often picks up a bug at nursery now, so if he gets it on Monday, he probably won't be well enough to go in on Thursday and vice versa too. But it usually takes him a good 24 hours for any bugs to kick in if he gets it. So I thought if I put him on Wednesday and Thursday, if he catches a bug on Wednesday, it's unlikely to kick in before at least Thursday evening. So I should at least get my 2 days of work in before he's then sick over the weekend, which is fine because I haven't got to work on those days and I'll just kind of make it work. And then on Monday, he goes to my parents and they can have him if he's a little bit poorly. It's not like a nursery where they have to keep them home. They can go to family at least. And even though my stomach is still feeling a bit funny this morning, I was well enough to actually put him in the car and get him to nursery. Normally I'd walk or cycle there, but there's no way I was risking that today. He's absolutely fine, thankfully, so he could go in. I think it would be worse if we were both sick and he had to stay home and I was not really feeling that great either. I think that's in some ways the worst case scenario. Fortunately though, food poisoning isn't contagious and I'm pretty confident it was some slightly dodgy chicken that I ate that did this to me. So anyway, he's off. I had the day to get some work done, maybe catch up on some of this cleaning, or at the very least have a rest, recover, because I'm still feeling a little bit funny. Definitely better today, but still a little bit funny. So just gonna take it easy, get this training done, get what I absolutely need to get done today finished. I am fortunately ahead of myself with my video schedule, so if it takes me a bit longer to edit a video than today, then that's fine. But it's tomorrow that I really need to get some of my client work done, so that will be the day. So I think I might give myself as much today to rest as I possibly can, and then juggling work when you're freelance and you're a single parent and you're sick is definitely one of the hardest things because there's nobody. It's not like if I was employed and I could take a sick day where like if I can't do the work for them, that's just kind of tough. But for me, like if I don't do the work, then I don't get paid. So I sort of have to get it done whenever I can. And that is one of the things that does worry me about being freelance. The flexibility of it is great, but the downside of that is that if you're sick, you're kind of stuffed. You kind of have to just work through it as much as you can to, or juggle things around and do it at different times whenever you need to. It is what it is, but I think this is actually the first time that I've been sick since I started my new freelance work, and juggling obviously with the training and all the other stuff. It's just going to be tricky, but I knew this was a possibility when I took it on, and I'm still enjoying the course, and we'll make it work because you always do, don't we, as parents? We somehow figure it out, and yeah. Anyway guys, thank you so much for listening to me ramble in this video. There was no rhyme or reason to it. I was just like, I need to sit down and talk about this week because I need to film a video, and this is all the mental energy that I have to put into it at the moment. So yeah, had a shitty holiday. Hope your week was better than mine. See you next week guys. Bye.